Welcome back. I'm back. You're back. Hey, we back. Welcome everyone to this episode on the Ultimate Sports TV, guys. We saw an incredible week one to open up the season in the NFL, everyone. From Thursday night football to the incredible slate of Sunday games, and then to Monday night football, which was probably the game of the week. Raiders versus Ravens. The Raiders came out with a very, very surprising and kind of weird win versus the Ravens, guys. One thing that really stood out to me in this game and what we're going to talk about in this video is Darren Waller. I think he's been great so far throughout his career and really rejuvenating his career with the Raiders. But last night, man, he showed me something. And what he showed me is that this year is going to be an amazing season here for Darren Waller, everyone, given the targets and the stats and impact on the Raiders offense that he had last night, everyone. Before I hop into Darren Waller versus the Ravens last night, and really Raiders versus Ravens overall, everyone, please make sure you go ahead, subscribe to the Ultimate Sports TV, like this video for me, share this video and YouTube channel, then comment down below if you think Darren Waller will be really one of the best tight ends in the league this year if he isn't already, or maybe even the best tight end in terms of stats this year, down in the comment section below, everyone. But now let's hop into this. Now, obviously, last night, Darren Waller had an incredible game. He had 10 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown, and almost 20 targets. He had 19 targets last night, and that only tells me one thing. Darren Waller's volume this year is going to be really, really high. That leads me to one thing, and I know it's very, very rare that teams run their offenses through tight ends. But when you look at Darren Waller and the circumstances he has around him, when your offensive line isn't good enough to run behind or your receivers aren't consistent enough, I think we could find the Raiders, like last night, running their offense through Darren Waller, not only feeding him the ball and getting his volume high, but also using him as a decoy on the field to get other players open and really moving him all around the field just because, hey, he's not your typical tight end in the NFL. Darren Waller is also just really a guy that you're going to throw to. You'll just throw it to him and expect him to make plays. He's a wonderful guy getting yards after contact. And because of pure talent and physical stance, I think that Darren Waller is a guy that this year, with his volume, I think his volume will also be valuable. It's not just volume he'll get that he won't do anything with. I think it's volume that'll impact himself greatly and also his team greatly, just because I think his volume and how valuable that is will be greatly impacted on how that offense performs. I think underneath, when he's running routes underneath across the line of scrimmage, he's unstoppable there. When he's running down the field, he's unstoppable there because he can do it. He's a tight end that can really run any route on the field, and I think that's helpful for the Raiders offense because now teams are going to pay attention to Darren Waller, no matter if he's closer in the slot or more outside, or more closer away from the tackle in the slot. Now look, Darren Waller, I think he's going to open up a lot for receivers on his team. This is not a guy that now this year will just be covered by linebackers just because I think his volume will be up so much. This guy is going to get safety help. This guy is sometimes going to be guarded by really, really good slot corners. And where I think that really helps the Raiders is when you have guys like Byron Edwards, when you have guys like Hunter Renfrow who can do things from the slot and can really do things deep. I think when you have Darren Waller who is guarded by these slot receivers, I think that could leave room for guys like Hunter Renfrow or Byron Edwards or maybe even Henry Ruggs at times, depending on where he's lined up. I think you could leave these guys maybe on some linebacker matchups or some safety matchups, guys who are a bit slower than them because teams are so worried about Darren Waller and his speed and his playmaking ability. I think not only will his volume impact the team greatly because of what he can do with the ball in his hands, but I think him being on the field, his presence just being there and knowing that Darren Waller is a huge target of the Raiders, I think that'll impact how teams and defenses really look at the Raiders offense and really guard Darren Waller, because you can't guard everyone on the field. You can't double Darren Waller, then expect Henry Ruggs not to explode downfield when you're using extra safety help on another wide receiver or you're using safety help on the tight end in Darren Waller. This guy, because of the position he plays, I think it really mixes up what teams do on defense because he's a tight end. This is not a guy that's going to line up outside all the time. So You're going to have excuses when, well, can we use a corner on Darren Waller sometimes? So when Darren Waller gets these linebacker matchups, it's not going to be good for the defense. So just because of the position he plays, but also because he plays like a wide receiver, it's really a mismatch for every team in the league because of where he lines up on the field and how that can impact how he gets the ball and how he uses the ball when he gets it, and also how he affects how others get the ball. I just think what position Darren Waller plays, because of the plays that he'll be able to make, but because of defense's attention to him, really, that'll make ways for others, but it'll also make sure that Darren Waller can still make plays for himself, because as soon as he's doubled or he gets a slot corner on him, then other receivers like Byron Edwards or like Hunter Renfrow or maybe even Henry Ruggs are going to take advantage of you focusing so much on Darren Waller, because I guarantee you teams are going to do it. And look, this is a run game that I don't expect to really be what John Gruden wants it to be this year. John Gruden is a head coach that really likes to run the ball, keep it on the ground and pound, run down the clock, and really have a turnover-free offense. But the offensive line isn't going to allow this offense to do that. When you have a quarterback like Derek Carr, who I think is top 10, who is able to get the ball to Darren Waller, and really, even in intermediate passes where Darren Waller can still do things with the ball and you still have deep threats, your offensive line may not give you much time, but because Darren Waller is so good underneath, you have a reliable target there. But because teams are so focused on Darren Waller really running underneath in those routes, because they're so focused there, I think that'll leave room for the deep threats on the Raiders team. So when you have an offensive line that's really not going to be able to help do what you want to do on offense, and that's running the ball, when you have Darren Waller who disrupts and really affects what the defense can do, I think that's really, really beneficial for the Raiders offense. And I think eventually it could help the run game, because Darren Waller is out there. You're not going to stack the box for Josh Jacobs all the time. It could end up helping the running game. Now, look, Darren Waller is not on the offensive line each and every time. So, he's not going to help with the run game in terms of blocking at all. But in terms of the pass game, I think Darren Waller helps a lot in that area. And I think he'll continue to get targets like he did last night versus the Ravens. His volume is going to be up big. And I think when you look at Darren Waller, because of what he can do and because of what teams are afraid of what he can do, I think the Raiders are going to have success on their offense because of him. And they're going to have success, maybe not major success, but they're going to run their offense through Darren Waller because of what presence he presents on the field, and that is really impacted on what Darren Waller can do, everyone. So really, I think Darren Waller is really going to help this Raiders offense this year, especially making plays for his team and really helping other players like wide receivers like Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs, and Byron Edwards on his team really make plays, everyone. As far as the Ravens side of the ball goes on offense and defense in this game, look, you could tell they really, really miss Marcus Peters. You can tell that running game needs to stay a bit more consistent. But look, for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson just cannot fumble the ball in the last seconds. When they ask of him to be an effective passer and not turn the ball over, Lamar Jackson, you just can't do it if you're Lamar Jackson in that area. Lamar Jackson in the past few games hasn't had a game over 250 passing yards. He has to be able to make plays over the air. And Marquise Brown had a pretty nice game. If you're Lamar Jackson, you can't make mistakes like that. And I think you have to point the finger to him if you're talking about the Ravens losing. You can tell they really miss Marcus Peters and their offensive line. They lost a piece on it. Look, the Ravens are depleted in terms of what injuries are doing to them, and Lamar Jackson needs to step up, everyone. Other than that, I think Darren Waller is going to lead the league in receiving yards this year because of the volume he'll get, also just because of the playmaker that he is, everyone. And Lamar Jackson in the Ravens passing game really needs to step up because the running game at times this year, because their offensive line is losing some pieces, and because they lost Dobbins and they did lose Gus Edwards, the Ravens passing game is really going to need to step up this year, everyone. Other than that, this is Malik Hicks, a.k.a. The Ranker of the Ultimate Sports TV, signing off. Peace out, and I'll see you on the other side.